All right. Welcome to the Dr. Joe Show. I'm Dr. Joe, and really excited to be here today. If you're a Cuban cigar collector and fanatic, you're going to love this little gem of an episode. Got some real special stuff for you. Now, as you know, as many of you know, I was away for a while, about a year, with no updates, no videos, no nothing. And it amazed me to discover that it's been about or over 2 years since we uploaded our first video at the Dr. Joe Show, our very first video, which was the Fake or Fine series, episode number 1. And since then, we've learned a hell of a lot about how to detect counterfeit Cuban cigars. And, that's all you have. That's really all you have. As a single individual, there's no way you can fight counter-terrorism. The fucking news. There's no way you can fight counterfeiting as a single person. Habanos SA is a huge, giant conglomerate, and they're having trouble. It's a war. It really is a war. The only thing you can do to thwart it is to arm yourself with knowledge. The old cliche, knowledge is power, couldn't be more true in this situation. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the knowledge we've learned and update that knowledge, and that's going to help us out. We're not going to spend too much time going over every little detail of the box, because if you want to know a lot of that stuff, you can look at some of our earlier episodes. However, I will just point out a few things that we may have missed along our journey, amazingly enough. And that's how they get the counterfeiters, that even though there are certain things that even though we were looking so closely, I can't believe that I missed, that I passed over. And I just want to point those out. Actually, that's just one thing, but then there's some other stuff. Then we're going to get into updates. Updates that have been made by Habanos to the packaging of cigars, the way they're supposed to be packaged and shipped. And that information is going to arm us to the teeth, because let me tell you, until now, all the updates they did, everything, as much as they did with their holograms and their barcodes, nothing really put a knockout punch on counterfeiting. Everything could be copied and reproduced, The whole thing with the serial numbers, the whole problem with that was vendors cut them off and then claimed, it's to protect them. And in a lot of cases, I gotta say, in a lot of cases, that must have been true, whatever they were saying, because the cigars were undoubtedly 100,000% real. I even went back to old boxes with my new amount, years go by and I have more and more experience, and I go back and those cigars are absolutely 100% real. So just because they cut off the serial number, there's one guy online who keeps commenting on every single video and saying, "There's no fucking serial number," and he's such an asshole, he's so nasty. "There's no fucking serial number, the cigars are fucking fake, you're an idiot, you're an asshole." Dude, you talk to me like you know me? I'm gonna leave a little video just for you in the near future, but we'll get back to that. Anyway, for those of you who love my little tangents, there you go. So what we're gonna do, update the knowledge we know, get into the new knowledge, and let me tell you, you're going to want to watch, because I have in our arsenal, the nuclear fucking bomb that is going to really, like I was just talking about, no knockout punch. This is going to be the knockout blow. It's really going to put a damper on counterfeiting, but only if you know it. Only if you know it. So a lot of people out there, man, they're still going to get duped. The anticipation, the excitement. One guy put it perfectly in an email saying, "I let my excitement of getting Cuban cigars cloud my judgment," and I couldn't have heard it more perfectly from anybody. That's what happens, So this new little thing I'm going to show you, this one thing, is gonna. Some of you already know it, but a lot of you don't, and it's a double whammy, because not only most of the updates that they made over the years, all they did was make it harder and harder for counterfeiters to copy it. This is not only going to make it harder for counterfeiters to copy it, it's also going to do another thing, which you're going to love. You're going to love it, trust me. All right, so that's going to be the second part of our video. The third part, I'm going to show you some tips, tricks, tools online that you can use to arm yourself with more knowledge and use to help yourself thwart counterfeiting and to make sure that you're in the clear and you don't get duped. So we'll go over some little sites and things like that. And then finally, we'll wrap it up and put it all together in a nice, neat little package. And while we're not smoking a cigar today, because I promised everybody, you know, we've concentrated so much in the past on is this real, is this not, that everybody else, my whole thing was that there's so many other people doing cigar reviews that why would you want to see me smoke a cigar? However, I get tons of emails, dude, smoke a cigar, I want to review this, review that. Fine, all right, man, we'll get into some cigar reviews. I guess there's only so much you can talk about counterfeiting. But right now there is a lot, and after this episode, we'll pretty much be in a position that we will no longer really need to mention much. You'll always be able to go back to this video and see everything that I've said. So, without further ado, I've got a couple of packages in front of me, and these are some boxes from my collection. Some of them you've seen, some of them you haven't, and I specifically chose these boxes because they're from different timelines, different years of release, which are going to show us some things of how things have been updated and what was and what is. And that's what we're going to look at first. So let's get into it. And I guess that's it. I always think I have more to say, but I am so glad you're here today. I really am. Don't switch me off. Don't do it. Go to the next video, because I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss this. And if you already know it, well, then I guess you want to miss it, and you're fucking way ahead of everybody in the game. But if you think you haven't learned it all, you probably don't know what I'm about to tell you. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Okay, we're back, and in front of us we have our first box that we're going to take a look at. We have seen these already, if you know any of our past videos. Amazing box of cigars, just absolutely amazing box of cigars, but that's not what it's about today. Some of the boxes I'm about to break out you've seen, and some you haven't. The ones you haven't, there will be reviews on later, and even from the ones we have seen, sometimes some of them I've just aged and haven't smoked, so we'll do that too. But here's the first box of cigars I want to show you. And why I'm showing you this is because this predates all the modern changes. This is one of the last boxes to come out, 2008, I believe. Yes, November 2008. It's one of the last boxes to, you know, use the older seal, government seal, which did not give us a hell of a lot of options. Back then, you would have looked at this box and said, man, this thing is armed to the teeth with things that counterfeiters would have to copy. You got your Habanos DOP sticker, which, by the way, does not have a DOP. These are things that are good to know if you're going to buy any older boxes or get into anything like that. You're really going to want to know this stuff because you can be fooled by receiving all the updated modern stuff, and man, you just don't want to be. So we're going to look at this box. And I'm trying to put the camera in a position that's good for everybody here. So let's try this. This box has several counterfeiting measures. Number one, you got your Habanos DOP, what they call the DOP, because nowadays it says DOP, which, you know, denomination or origin protected. What that means is it's protected origin. That the tobacco comes from fields that is protected by the government. And in this case, on a 2008 box, you can look at it, yellow shadowing, embossed red Habanos. You got your little Habanos SA leaf logo right there, your little emblem, and there is no DOP, D.O.P on this box. It's from 2008. You have your secondary band because this is a regional release. The dots should all be embossed. Check for spelling. The words should be embossed. The color should be just right. You have your brand logo, which should be burnt into the wood, pressed into the wood. Okay. Make sure that's all nice and even and straight. You have your Cuban government seal. We'll get back to that. You have your, somebody asked me a question about these. What you have here is an anti-smoking propaganda. And this does not come on every box, and this will vary from box to box, mostly depending on what region the cigars are coming from. Some regions are grosser than others these days. I told one guy, I got a Cohiba Bahique box with actually, I'm going to show it to you later. It has a guy with a freaking gigantic throat tumor. Like, it's disgusting, man. I can't even believe they put it there. But they did. So, like I said, this is going to vary from box to box. This box is from Reino Unido, United Kingdom. I'm sorry. Yes, United Kingdom. There are newer ones that, it's funny, they have regional releases which say Gran Bretagna. Kind of like the same thing. I don't know. Reinos Unidos, United Kingdom, Great Britain. Okay, so I guess Great Britain is England only, and United Kingdom is the whole region, Britain, England, Ireland, Wales. So that's probably that. So therefore, it's in English. A lot of people have seen this box and they said, dude, you got a fake box, your thing is in English. I'm like, no, it's not a fake box, from the United Kingdom. Anyway, that's the least to worry about. Remember, but it is wise to know that, let's say this box came from Italy, this should be in Italian. Came from Alemania or Germany, this should be in German. That's a good thing to know. You have your emblem right here, which is a basically serial number of what box you got. These are a limited edition where they made 2,040 boxes, and this is box number 354. You can always check online exactly how many boxes they made of a certain release, and therefore, if you were to see a box of these with out of 2,000 or out of any other number than 2040, you better start questioning. On the front of the box, you have the latch, which mostly always looks the same, mostly. And a lot of the times under the latch, it'll say, let's see what it says here, Schmale, Germany, of course. Just because it does not say that, does not mean it's fake, but it's just another little checkpoint in our information armory that lets us know, okay, this box is looking better and better. On the front here, you have, again, stamped in the number of cigars and the vitola or size, exact sub-brand of the cigar. These are Gloriosos, Habana, Cuba. Everything is pressed into the wood. On the bottom, okay, you have a couple of other things. This appears differently from time to time. This is a vendor stamp. Depending on how big the vendor is, they may or may not have this. But this is for their particular, in-store use. Having this is always kind of nice because it means, okay, it came from probably came from a reputable vendor, because a counterfeiter wouldn't bother putting this on the box. Very important. Habanos S.A. Hecho en Cuba Totalmente a Mano. Not Totalamante, because I've seen these on fake boxes go Totalamante. I don't know why they just heard somebody say it and then pressed it, but it's wrong. This is correct, Totalmente a Mano. Basically, this means that these are hand-filled, handmade, hand-rolled cigars, period. Made in Cuba, made by hand. Totally handmade. Okay? You have, and that again is all pressed into the wood. Then you have your box date. Factory code, TEB. Nowadays it's difficult to tell exactly what factory you're talking about, as they change the letter code time to time. Usually Gloria Cubana cigars come out of the old Partagas factory, but with regional releases that may or may not be true. And your date, November 08. This stamp should be very clear, very easy to read. Any kind of thing where it might say, especially on standard releases like D4s or something, if it says like NOVO and the last number is kind of halfway there, and the factory code has 2.5 letters, or you don't want any of that. Should be nice, precise, and clear. Tax stamp. Okay, certain cigars from certain regions should have a tax stamp. This being from United Kingdom, Reinos Unidos, has a English tax stamp. EMS, which means English Market Selection, cigars specifically chosen for the English region. The date of the tax stamp 2009. This is 2008, but that's 2009 tax stamp. That's okay, because the tax stamp can come after the release. And you have your tax stamp serial number, Hunters and Frankow, which is the distributor for this particular brand of cigar. More anti-smoking propaganda. This is a pretty disturbing one. I never liked this one with the little babies and all that. Smoking when pregnant harms your baby. Kind of an odd one to choose to put on cigars, as I don't want to sound sexist, but we all know that cigars, mostly men smoke cigars. I've met quite a few women cigar smokers, and they're really cool peeps, but mostly men smoke cigars. So to put a smoking when pregnant harms your baby thing on a box of cigars is kind of weird to me. I mean, I guess the 3 women in the United Kingdom who decided to buy these cigars see that. And then finally, the government seal, the classic government seal. And this government seal is really just kind of like a lousy version when it comes to thwarting counterfeiting, because it has basically no protection, no hologram, okay, no barcode. All it has is a couple of things. The right color and the right size is important. The placement on the box is important in this case, being that it's 2008. But I'm going to tell you in updates, the placement on the box becomes less and less important as the years go by. But cigars from 2008 really should still be right through the center crest. And then you have your serial number down here. Okay, so the type of Cuban government seal that you have here ran for a very long time, from 1999 all the way up to 2011. During 2009 is when it stopped being by itself, and for a while you got a lot of boxes that this seal was overlapped by the newer Hologram Seal, the first release of the Hologram Seal. So you have a few things that you can look at. Beside the size, shape, color of this seal, there is a number, a serial number in red down here. The numbers don't really mean much to us, but the letters do. The letters basically signify the year, that you can tell the year that the cigars were released, and the letters should match up approximately with the year that the cigars were released. Now, oh boy, I started in 2008. So that's okay. Boom. Went into 2009, and then in 2009 and 2010, J was used. J is the last of the letters that were ever used on these seals. J is often seen on the seals that were overlapped by the new seal. If you have any letter beyond J, then it's a problem. It's a fake. Let me see. Okay. A second thing that you can look at is, and we've done this before, so I'm not going to do it right now. The disco era is over and I put my black lights away. But if you were to use a black light on this seal, a UV version of the shield will come up on the seal. And it's really cool because it's completely invisible. But it's also another thing that has been figured out and counterfeited. So by itself, it's not a total anti-counterfeiting measure. And that's about it for this seal. I mentioned color, size, UV, your serial number with your letters in red. And of course the last thing that everybody talks about now, like the cedar sheet that I'm about to mention when we open the box, there's a discrepancy. Older boxes during this entire time that this seal was used by itself, it should be crested in the middle, like so. Center of the shield. This is positioned perfectly, this one. All the way to the left of the box, nice and straight, seal crested in the middle. However, in recent years, with the newer seals being released, especially on things like special releases and regional editions, it has become less important for the seal to be crested exactly in the middle. And I'll show you some examples of very real boxes that do not have the shield crested in the middle like so. So now we're going to get into the box. Let's open her up.